What's up, everybody? We're back with another race for you here. My first real road race of the season. This is Hatfield, Massachusetts, men's Cat 4-5. I kind of like this race. It's not overly interesting. It's just 3 laps of this pretty flat course. The group pretty much stays together for the whole thing. Yeah, not too bad as long as you're paying attention to wind and group dynamics and stuff. But this was the first road race I had done last year, so kind of my first real road race ever. So it kind of holds a little bit of a special place for me. I think when I raced last year, I placed in 8th, so pretty good result for my first race. And then came back this year, definitely wanting to try to get on the podium. Definitely felt like it was something I was going to be able to do if I raced smart and paid attention to my positioning. But unfortunately, the race did not end up the way I wanted it to, as you'll see. But here we are. This is I started recording just a little bit into the final lap. So we did 3 laps on the day. Turned out to be about a 38-mile course. So not super long. And at this point, the group has pretty much just stayed together for most of the race. Had a few people try to make a break, get a breakaway going, but with not really any major hills or anything, there's no real good place to make that difference and really get off the front. So anyone that tried to get away was brought back in pretty quickly. For most of the race, I'm happy just staying mid-pack, near the back of the pack. Just staying safe, staying out of the wind, and conserving energy. This was a pretty large group. I think it was 75 people in the field, or 75 people registered. So, pretty big group for a race like this. You can see just lots of people filling up the lane. We did not have a full road closure for this race, so the yellow line rule is in effect. Basically, we had to stay, as you saw a car pass there, we had to stay on our side of the yellow line. If you went outside of it to move up or gain an advantage, one of the officials on a motorcycle would come up and kick you to the back of the pack. So, something to keep an eye on. They were a little bit lenient for going around corners or if you were pushed out a little bit, but definitely trying to keep it safe on these open roads. For the most part, though, we're all just riding together, keeping a pretty good speed. Have a little bit of a cross headwind on the way out on this loop, and a cross tailwind on the way back. At this point, I'm not super concerned with my position. You can kind of see where I'm sitting as we're going around that corner. You can see the front of the group. It's really hard to move up in this group because you see we're riding 3, 4 across the road. Sometimes it'll open up on the inside or the outside like this, but pretty quickly gets closed down. But I'm not too worried. I kind of know if you look at the route there in the top left corner, you can see those 2 right-hand turns pretty close after each other. I know after that second right-hand turn up there that the field tends to really speed up and kind of line out a lot. So I know if I'm going to move up, that's going to be probably the best place to do it. Unfortunately, everybody else is probably going to have the same idea, but it's definitely I'll have some more room on the road and some space to move up. I just have to conserve energy and really put the power down after that second right-hand turn. So until then, just pretty much riding the pack. Not a whole lot of anything interesting happens. We'll just go through the lap here so you can see the course, and then I'll jump back in once we get to that spot. All right, so we're coming up on those two turns I was talking about. I'm definitely thinking about, trying to move up here pretty soon. I've only got about 5, 6 miles till the end of the race. Um, yeah, there's a couple people I'm keeping an eye on. My friend Tito is in this race, and his club, Northampton Cycling, has a lot of other riders in this group. So I'm figuring they're probably going to try to do a lead out for somebody. Tito won this race last year, so he's definitely going to want to follow that result up. So keeping my eye on them, and then also just going to pay attention to other people that are moving towards the front. I'm kind of riding solo, so my plan is to get near the front and then hop on a lead out or a train or just follow whoever decides to sprint near the end. But again, all of that depends on being near the front. So here comes this first right-hand turn, kind of sharp, definitely one to watch for. You can see we kind of spread out to the whole width of the road here. Then we've got this downhill, everybody starts to speed up a little bit. You can see the front of the group still not too far ahead, but starting to spread out just a little bit here. Still not quite a ton of room for moving up. Could have moved up on the inside there a little bit, but I'm wanting to be on the outside so I don't get squeezed on the corner. I have a little bit more room to accelerate coming out of this next right-hander. So the second corner is kind of at the bottom of this downhill, carrying a lot of speed into it. Really have to slow down a little bit coming into the corner, and then everybody usually accelerates coming out. See immediately everybody kind of picking up the speed. The group's even more spread out than they were earlier. So I'm not making a ton of headway. I'm definitely picking up speed, but we're not passing too many people because, like I said earlier, everybody's kind of got the same idea at this point. But we're definitely shedding part of the back of the pack. I'm still within reach of everybody else, so I'm happy about that. Just need to, at this point, just need to get out of this wind, get onto somebody's wheel. See as everybody comes together, kind of slows down the acceleration coming out of that corner. Kind of group up again. This guy's going past. I decide to try the same thing, a little bit less speed. And then jump into this gap here on this line. And I kind of just sit in this area for a little while. Having a hard time moving up on the outside here. There's a little bit of room on the inside, but I think I go over there and try to use the inside, but it kind of closes down. Kind of going to the wrong side each time, but definitely carrying a good bit of speed here now. Everybody's kind of thinking the same thing, trying to get towards the front. So as you can see, I've been on the inside for a little while, trying to move up there. It's not really working out for me. I know we've got these S bends coming up. I know it's going to thin out just a little bit more going through that chicane. So I'm deciding, well, I think I'm going to go to the outside again. I've been seeing people move up on the outside. Seems a little bit safer than the inside. You can see some squeezing going on that inside line. So I see these people moving up. I'm just kind of biding my time, waiting to jump on a wheel. Definitely part of racing is always being aware of who's coming up behind you and where there's space. So I know after this guy in the yellow, there's a space for me to hop in, so I just hop right on that wheel. And yeah, this kind of works out perfectly for me. I follow him. He doesn't have too many people in front of him, so he's doing most of the work for me right now. And I'm just following that wheel right up to the front of the pack here. Passing my buddy Tito there. Lead out train of Northampton Cycling there, set up, ready to go. We've got about 2 miles left in this race, so you can see a few guys trying to get off the front. It's kind of where this acceleration came out of. This group here reels them back. And yeah, this kind of leaves me in the perfect position. You know, maybe 8th, 10th wheel. Plenty of space on the road to move up if need be, but still enough people in front of me. I'm not in the wind. I'm not wasting energy. See, we kind of slow down here, a little bit of compression. And yeah, so right now I am pretty happy with where I am. But this is where it's about to go sideways. And there it is. That was basically the end of my race. So what happened? Let's watch it. You can see up ahead, there's a little bit of a compression on the side. Rider in the white compressing into another rider there in the orange. They're looking at each other, talking to each other. Rider in the white keeps looking over his right shoulder and kind of drifts left into the rider next to me. Rider next to me pushes into me pretty hard to avoid that collision, which pushes me into this passing rider, and down I go. Yeah. My first crash in a road race, or really first major crash cycling at all. Ended up with a bunch of road rash, some broken bike pieces. Fortunately, no head injury or anything, so pretty lucky as far as that. You can see I'm just trying to straighten out my bars there. At first, I think I can just, straighten out my bars, get back on the bike, get back in the race, but I've got some broken spokes in my front wheel. Back wheel is pretty warped, doesn't spin, so at this point I'm just kind of waiting. There is neutral service behind the pack, so that's where this guy comes in. Super helpful, gives me 2 neutral service wheels, gets them working on the bike. Got a broken shifter, but it works enough. And but yeah, I'm able to get to the finish, ride the rest of the way, but kind of frustrating. Crashed out of the race. Felt like I was in the perfect position and just ended it on the tarmac, but that's racing, it happens. Definitely could have been worse. Here we are, I'm just finishing out the race. Not really going for any result at this point, obviously, just gotta get back to the race start somehow, get back to the car.
God, that was so close.
Definitely in some pain. The adrenaline's kicked in though, so it's not too bad, but mostly just frustrated about feeling like I did everything right and then just messed up by getting crashed out. This isn't too interesting, so we'll just fast forward some, but at least to show you the rest of this course. Nice road here, a little bit of shoulder, which is great. Coming into the town of Hatfield here. A little bit of compression coming around that corner. For the most part, nice wide shoulder though, plenty of room. And then here we are, 1K to go. See still this nice wide shoulder, nice wide flat road, slight downhill, so definitely a fast lead into the finish line. My first year racing this, I was kind of stuck with that yellow line rule. They did open up the full width of the road with about 200 meters to go, I think. So I opened up my sprint and passed quite a bit of the field to come into, I think, 8th place on that first year. This year, though, they did extend the yellow line rule all the way to the finish line, so it did not open up for a sprint. So it's definitely going to be more important to be at the front of the group coming into these final meters into the sprint. Coming into town, though, I saw that ambulance up there near the finish line. So coming in, definitely a little concerned about what happened up there. With a high-speed sprint here on a nice road, slight downhill, definitely anything can happen. $200 meters to go here. About where you're going to want to start opening up your sprint, maybe a little bit later. As we pass these guys, several guys on the ground, ambulance there, paramedics, so definitely worse than the crash I was involved in, so considering myself lucky there. And then this is the finish line right here. So that was Hatfield Road Race. I'll be racing more throughout the rest of the year, so check back in for more videos.